Hi everyone, I kept promising a basis video, and although I'm not doing a full-length basis video today, I thought I'd tell you about 5 of the foundations and tinted moisturisers and so on that I use on a regular basis that I love, and give a little bit of an explanation of each one and the type of coverage that it gives. So I suppose you could say that this is a bit of a precursor to the full-length video. So anyway, hope that you find it useful, and let's get started. Now, as I mentioned, I have 5 to show you here, and I'm going to start with the classic foundation. And as you know, there are loads and loads and loads of different types of foundation that you can get. You can get cream foundations, powder foundations, you can get liquid foundations, you can get foundations that are in a compact, you can get foundations in a bottle or a tube. There are so many out there, and I think that partly you do have to go around counters, try little samples of them. They're sometimes very expensive, so you don't want to invest a lot of cash in one until you know that it suits you. And as well as getting the texture of your foundation or base right, you also need to make sure that you get your shade right, and it's especially important the more coverage the foundation gives, because with sheerer textures like tinted moisturiser or things like the Chanel compact that I'm going to show you, it doesn't sometimes matter so much if they're a little bit on the sheerer side, because you can kind of blend them out, and a little bit of a colour difference doesn't matter. But if you've got a big colour difference and you're using a foundation which is very opaque, you can find that you get those telltale lines around the face. So I'm starting off with the classic foundation, and in general foundations are the highest coverage of anything. So you really get that effect where you can cover up blemishes, or you can cover up little patches of discoloration, and you get this general evenness over the face. And so if I'm filming, I'll usually wear a foundation just because cameras aren't very kind to the skin, and that's why on a fashion shoot they would use a foundation on a model. Very, very rarely, unless you were shooting in natural daylight and it was a very kind of healthy outdoorsy shoot, you might use a tinted moisturiser, but mostly a makeup artist will use a foundation. And this one is Le Teint Touche Éclat, which you've seen me use loads and loads and loads. This one is very, very nice because it gives an almost dewy effect without any greasy residue or any oiliness on the skin. So if you've got oily combination skin, then it's okay. You might want to use a mattifying primer underneath it if you've got very oily skin. But I find this one really, really nice on my skin, and it just gives this very healthy glow. So if you're after full coverage, go for foundation. I would say though that if you've got very young skin or very good skin and you don't need it, and you're not on camera like this or what have you, and you're not going to a big event where you're going to be packed, then usually you won't need a foundation. Sometimes it can look a bit heavy and a bit too much, and in that case you might want to go for something like a complexion enhancer, which I'm not going to talk about today because they're not really strictly a base, or a tinted moisturiser. And this is one of my favourites. This is from NARS, and this is a very, very juicy finish. So you've got a lot of dewiness and like a healthy sheen coming from this one. I really like a tinted moisturiser for days when I just want a kind of an all-in-one. I'll use a serum beforehand, but then I'll go straight in with my tinted moisturiser, and it's got the SPF in there as long as you're using enough of it, but I do use loads of tinted moisturiser. I use it as much tinted moisturiser as I would a dedicated SPF, so I kind of feel that that is satisfactory for UK living, not in boiling hot weather or outside all day. So I use that one loads and loads and loads, one of my favourites. And then we've got this new massive fad, which is the BB cream and the CC cream. Widely criticised for being just a marketing trick. However, I really like them. What I will say is that it is a marketing tool, and that all BB and CC creams vary wildly. However, I think try them all out, and if you love it, then you love it. It doesn't matter what it's called, whether it's a BB cream or a CC cream. The BB is supposed to be blemish balm, or some people are calling it beauty balm, and the CC cream is more of a complexion corrector or colour corrector. And my favourite one at the moment is the CC cream from Chanel. Pricey, and it only at the moment comes in one shade, but it is a very, very thick coverage. You can see it going on here. You can see that this will cover anything. I don't need to use concealer with this one. I don't really need to use concealer with the YSL foundation either, but this one is just totally covers everything. I'd say that it's heavier than a lot of foundations, this one, but still gives that really nice healthy glow, doesn't look too heavy on the skin. So I like this one a lot, and I just feel that it's an all-in-one. Again, put it on straight over my serum or a light moisturiser, and I don't have to think about doing anything else, and I use it in quite copious quantities, this one. And then another Chanel product. Obviously all of these are on the pricier side. I'll have a look for some budget versions or more affordable versions, but when it comes to my skincare and to my bases, that's where I do tend to, I mean, I like luxury things all round, but I do tend to have a no quibble thing going on with my skincare and my bases, where I won't really feel bad about spending money on them because I want really good quality. Not saying that the affordable ones aren't good quality, but these are just the brands that I tend to go for. I mean, I test out everything. I test out hundreds of products, and these are the ones that I whittle down to, and they're in my own personal makeup bag that I take around with me, and you know, they're the ones that really work for me. So another Chanel one, to cut a long story short, and this is the Les Beige Compact, and it's not strictly a foundation or a base. It's not a compact foundation really. It's more of, let's show you. I did a video of this for the Telegraph. I'm using a kind of foundation brush to apply this. If you look at that going on, it's like a powder, it's like almost a hybrid between a powder and a cream foundation. So you can buff it on or you can brush it on, and it does give this extra layer of coverage, but it's really sheer and really just healthy looking. I don't know how to describe it, but if you go to a Chanel counter, I really would recommend having a play around with this. Make sure you get the right shade for your skin. Again, so I use a 10 or a 20. This one's a 20 because I'm away and I've got a little bit of colour on my face, but I would normally go for a 10. And the brilliant thing about this is you can layer and layer and layer, and it never looks cakey and it never looks overdone. So if you did your foundation in the morning and you wanted to take something out that was really easy to use to top up, then this, you know, this would be really, really useful because you don't need to use fingertips, you don't need to create any mess, and it can go on even over your bronzer or anything like that because you just buff it in. Last one is just in here for fun, really, I suppose, because it is my all-time favourite foundation ever. Well, I suppose the Sheer Expert is as well, but this is Cover Expert, and I've got loads of my friends hooked on this stuff. Unfortunately, it's very expensive, but the pleasure that I get from using this foundation, which sounds weird, but if you've ever tried it, you'll know exactly what I mean, is worth every single penny. And it's a regular kind of repeat purchase, that one. And I go through it a lot faster than is strictly sensible for something of that price. So those are my 5 most used at the moment, and yes, I will get round to doing the full-on base video, but for now make sure you're subscribed, give this a big like if you do want a foundation video full length, and I shall see you next time.